Hi, everyone. Hi, Chris Masulo, part of the producing team here at MoMA PS1. I just wanted to draw, first of all, thank you, but also want to draw your attention to a very special early offering of Gregg's book, published by Triple Canopy, Some Styles of Masculinity, which is the text on which the performance you're about to see is based. So please check it out on your way out. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Got a little bounce here. Oh, good. Okay. My name is Benyamin Zev, and I'm so happy to see you. We're here at the Sukkah Spectacular, which feels like the accomplishment itself. My ability to produce a show under my Hebrew name, Benyamin Zev, that entailed a crew of people building a beautiful, though fake sukkah, although it's regulation. Sukkahs could be 3 walls, but usually you don't build it on a perspectival angle. What is a sukkah? Some of you might be asking. I'm old. A sukkah is a flimsy dwelling that is built during the holiday of Succos, Sukkot, however you say it, tomato, potato. I say Succos because I'm from Queens and Ashkenazic Jews. That's how my grandfather said it, Succos. And it's just always, you were basically in my childhood fantasy of Benyamin Zev, not Gregg Bordowitz, but Benyamin Zev getting his own TV show. And, well, that's it. Good night. And that was like, actually, yeah, I do feel like this is the accomplishment. Now I actually have to think for a living. Well, I'm greatly aided by the tremendous amount of resources I have. One, to build a sukkah and have all this amazing crew, video and do the sound and design and build the sukkah. Thank you, Chris Masulo, for that. With Marimekko sheets, no less. And no one said who's keeping them after the show. But one of the great resources that I have here, that we have, one of the great delights, is that we have the Isle of Klezbos. A big round of applause for the Isle of Klezbos. And Yves Secular, who is the band's leader. Yves.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, a hartstikken Dank. And I want to say that tonight's Klezbos quartet, we have Shoko Nagai on accordion and keyboard. Saskia Lane is here on the double bass. And our very most special guest Klezbian is Alex Park on the clarinet, and you shall hear more. And now back to Greg.
Thank you, Yves. Thank you. Did you have a nice Shabbos?
Here? There we are. I had a wonderful Shabbos, including some delicious Vietnamese treif of many colors. Thank you very much.
Mazel tov, mazel tov. You know, when I grew up, we used to go to Chinese food, a lot, because that's a Jewish New York thing. For some reason, the pork at the Chinese food place was kosher. Like, we didn't know from pork, but we never ate pork. But for some reason, at the restaurant we always went, like, it was just, it was in the food, it was just.
You go out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. This whole show is built around thoughtful pauses. And when I take a pause, you're welcome to take one too. Oh, well, I am aware that in the audience tonight, a friend of mine from a shul has a birthday. Cheryl Eisenberg, I want to wish you a happy birthday. Yeah, hold it. Happy birthday, Cheryl. But let's be in the spirit of the shul here. So is anyone else experiencing a birthday? I can hardly see. Is anyone else experiencing a birthday? A simcha of some kind, graduation, childbirth, a new love, anything, yeah? Well, even if you're too shy to say so, I'm hoping that there's something good going on for you. Evidence to the contrary, since no one raised their hand, I'm assuming there's something going on. There's plenty of bad stuff going on, but I'm hoping that there's something good going on for you. And we're going to play a Jewish celebratory song to embrace those things that are good that are going on for all of us. For me, it's the show. Right now, it's the show. What I do when I'm doing it is what I am. So right now, I'm Benyamin Zev hosting a show with the Isle of Klezbos, who will do Simmentov and Munsetov. Thank you, Isle of Klezbos.
A pleasure. A machaya.
Taka machaya.
Taka.
You make me shep nachas. Truly. No one? I said such a pleasure, and you give me great joy. I'll usually translate, though there is some kind of passive-aggressive thing that I enjoy about not translating. It's minor compared to other Jewish comics. And by the way, I'm not a comic. I am not a comedian. I am an artist who feels like a failed comedian, which I think is a generalized condition of people who make contemporary art. I mean, not every artist will admit or say that they feel like a failed comedian, but I certainly do. Because, you know, where's the punchline? Where's the punchline in being an artist? The AIDS crisis is still beginning. Where's the punchline? Crickets. Okay. Well, it's Succos. It's Succos or Sukkot. That is a Jewish holiday that officially starts on Monday night for a week. Jews who observe build flimsy structures in which they eat, study, and some sleep. There's many different kinds of styles that people do, architectural styles for their sukkahs. Sukkah, I just made an English Jewish word. Sukkahs is not actually the plural of sukkah, but it is in English or Hebrewish. You know, you've gone through Williamsburg. You see, like, there's fire. The fire. I'm sure that the fire department has sukkahs, but well, I'm not sure if the fire department has sukkahs actually, but certainly the fire escapes in Williamsburg are filled with sukkahs, as are the front yards and backyards, and the yards of temples and empty lots that are rented up and down Eastern Parkway, where I live in Crown Heights. There's a huge sukkah that's actually a big tent with cellophane windows. But this is the sukkah of my childhood. You know, bed sheets, kind of palm-like mats. It's supposed to be palm trees. Lots of fruit or plastic fruit. And there's some things that go with sukkah. So I'm going to show you. This paper mache object is sculpted to look like an esrog. An esrog is fruits, because you see people carrying them around. There's a lot of like fancy esrog carriers. In fact, if you go to a Jewish museum, you can see that there's actually an entire genre of esrog holders, sometimes made in silver. I brought one for you. And I was just gonna pull this out, but I thought, no. Dramatically, Gregg, Benyamin, it would be better just to first show the box, and then to open it, but also to show you how much care is put into the storage of the sukkah. Well, I don't know what's happening to the sukkah. How much care is put into the storage of the esrog. An esrog is a citron. It's kind of like between a grapefruit and lemon. It only grows, it used to grow. It refers to a fruit in biblical lands, but they also grow them in Italy now for export, largely for this holiday. You don't eat it on the holiday, you smell it. It's quite flavorful, tasty aroma. You have to take good care of it. It has to have this top thing here that we've represented in the sculpture. It's called the patum. And it's not kosher if it doesn't have a patum, because it has to have what attaches it to the tree. Actually, I would love to pass this around for you to smell, but that would not be so COVID safe. We're being cautious tonight. I want to thank you all for coming here. I want to thank everybody out in Webland who's watching this as well. I hope you can see. You can probably see this better than a lot of other people in the audience. I happen to get a really nice one. And the more beautiful they are and the more large they are, the more expensive they are. So, this is a modest esrog. This is a modestly priced esrog. It's not because I disrespect the divine any less. It's just, it's what I could buy. I should have kept the esrog out, actually. Wait a minute. Let me take it out of its... See, I don't have a fancy silver esrog thing. I just have the cardboard box that it comes in. So, in the sukkah, and carrying it around with you, actually, this is one of the few rituals, actually, that both men and women can and are invited to perform in the Orthodox world, which is not my world. I'm not Orthodox. I go to a temple where there are people of many genders, and in my temple, a person of any gender can do any ritual or wear any piece of clothing associated with observance. Actually, as a child, I was bar mitzvahed in an Orthodox temple, which had a mechitza, which is a wall that separates men from women. I will not go to a temple that has a mechitza. I will only go to a temple where anyone can sit wherever they want, and any person of any gender can wear and do whatever they want. But even among the Orthodox, for this holiday, anyone is welcome to carry these around. This has an enormous amount of significance. Last night I talked about symbols, and I'm going to further talk about symbols. So I love this. So the Sukkos was a harvest holiday that pre-existed the Hebrews and kind of got absorbed into the Torah, which is the 5 books of Moses, and was then made a Jewish holiday, an autumnal harvest holiday, a pilgrimage holiday. So the symbology around Sukkos involves harvest and plenitude, and with all things Jewish, there's tons of symbolic meaning attached to these things. So actually the esrog represents the heart. But in the biblical regime of physiology, in the Torah, the heart and the mind are the same. So the esrog is the heart-mind. This long branch in the middle is a palm tree branch a stick off of a palm tree, and that is the spine. So this is an anthropomorphic figure together. The palm tree is a spine, the esrog is the heart and mind. This myrtle, which you can't really see, which is why I wanted to pass it around, but you couldn't Google myrtle. Myrtle is actually shaped like eyes. So they're the eyes that can see or read the Torah. And the willow is the lips with which one can speak the words of the Torah. So together, this is an anthropomorphic figure. It's called the four species, the Arba Minin. And it's what is recognized as the four species of biblical lands. It's what's listed in the Torah. I also love it because there are 4 letters, Hebrew letters, to the unpronounceable name of God. I'm not going to pronounce it because I roll like that. But there's 4 letters that are unpronounceable in the Torah. And this is the middle one, Vav, which in diagrammatic representation is the kind of body or channel through which the material and immaterial, or heaven and earth, are connected. And I just love this stuff. The symbolism behind it, the beauty of the symbolism behind it. Yes, I love this stuff, it's clear. So you're actually supposed to stand in the sukkah. I'm not going to perform, because I don't perform Jewish rituals for entertainment. But I will do it for pedagogical purposes, which is hopefully entertaining. Brecht said that the justification for theater is entertainment, first and foremost, and then it could do so many other things. Brecht wasn't Jewish, by the way. But yeah, this isn't going to be funny. I hope you thought maybe it might be funny, because there's like a stool and a microphone, which is it's really just the indication of a genre. Because, as I said, as an artist, I feel like a failed comedian. Yeah, not funny. Maybe funny. Any laughter that occurs is purely coincidental to whatever's going on. So you stand in the sukkah and you shake it in all 4 directions when you say the blessing, which I will not perform because that's not what we're doing. But I love a Sukkah-themed show, because Sukkah is really about wandering. The structure itself, the Sukkah, is about the Jews or Hebrews wandering in the desert for 40 years. It's a reminder of diaspora, which, though can be painful for some, I have to admit, I'm perfectly fine in the diaspora. If I go back to a homeland, it's Queens. I'm here, I'm home, that's why I'm happy. But let's put it this way, my relationship to being Jewish has nothing to do with land claims. I actually like the idea of being mobile, taking my culture. Actually, the beautiful thing about diaspora, since Jews have lived more in diaspora than anywhere else, is that the entire culture, religious, cultural aspects of Judaism are all about mobility and travel. I wouldn't say freedom, because a lot of Jews had to leave places, but the whole thing is about how Jews were able to take with them what they value most and set it up, their own laws, their own traditions, wherever they were allowed to alight, for however long they were allowed to alight. Yes. During the Trump presidency, Donald Trump signed, I was going to say an edict, signed an order that gave Jews a distinct and special national characteristic. I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but no one's done that since the Nazis. Like, I'm an American Jew. I don't have, there's Jews, there's Israelis, and Zionists. I'm just one of them. Guess which? I'm from Queens, don't have any other citizenship anywhere else. I'm not a Zionist, but I am proudly a Jew. Yeah, okay, that's enough with that. I'm actually going to put this back in the box because I do not want the platoon to be, see, it's nestled in there. In the oh so ecologically friendly styrofoam. Symbols, yeah, symbols. Lots of people always ask me what that's about. Usually I only explain it on Saturday night, which is Rabbi Night. This is the night for rabbis. Last night was the night for rock stars. Tomorrow is the night for comedians. Some rock stars are rabbis. Some rabbis are rock stars. Everyone's a comedian. That's the formula. This symbol behind me is actually 10 letters, 10 Hebrew letters. This is medieval. I should get out of the way. This is a medieval insignia, which was designed by a famous Kabbalist named Moshe Cordovero, who was a medieval Kabbalist. Each letter, it looks like a beautiful minimalist composition. The Jewish Museum in New York had the first show of minimalism. My friend James Meyer, who's here, has taught me a lot about that. The Jewish Museum was the first show to have the major show about minimalism in the early 60s. So, you're welcome. This actually looks like a Frank Stella, not a Frank Stella. Very representational, calligraphic. Every line is the letter of a word. Each word is one of the 10 emanations of God attached to the tree of life. Trees are very important in Jewish mysticism. What I love about this is a tree of life. So this letter outside is actually Kaf, which is like a K sound, which is the first letter of Keter, which means crown, and it descends in order in the emanations till you get to Malkut, which is the earthly realm. I love this because this is a tree of life, but it's kind of brilliant because it's the rings of a tree. It's the tree, it's just like if you cut the tree of life open, that's what the rings would be. I just think that's really beautiful. And I like having it on the Sukkah, so I'm grateful to the powers that be at PS1 that built this Sukkah and let me blow up that sign. But we're here because of the Benyamin Zev show, the show of my childhood fantasies, and which means I also get to bring my special guests. One of the traditions of Sukkot is to invite your guests. I'm going to actually bring up my special guest, but I realize there's something else I want to do first. Sukkot follows, and it followed immediately this year, Yom Kippur, which is perhaps the Jewish holiday with the greatest gravity. It's one of the high holidays. On Yom Kippur, one makes atonement. On Yom Kippur, one is also forgiven for whatever one feels one needs to be forgiven for. And in fact, that's part of the deal in Judaism, is that if you think you've done something, one of the rituals of Yom Kippur is to call somebody, email. Actually, it starts with Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the new year. Then roughly a week later is Yom Kippur. That's the days of awe. In the days of awe, you're supposed to contact people, reflect, think about who you need to make amends to, And there's even a part of the service in shul where you turn to somebody next to you or someone dear to you and you say, if I have wronged you in any way this year, please allow me to make amends. I am sorry. So I know we don't know each other that well and we're only about 20 minutes into the show, but if I have wronged you in any way, please forgive me and allow me to make amends. Before I bring on our special guest, I would just want to get Yom Kippur in the room. One of the most beautiful tunes in the Hebrew liturgy is Kol Nidre. Kol Nidre means all vows. There's actually a really interesting history behind Kol Nidre, which is a prayer that is sung to this tune, which Isle of Klezbos will play for you in a moment. All vows. There was a time in medieval period when vows were, too many people would take too many vows, and there was a lot of pressure among Jews to make vows, and vows are very difficult to keep, so there was this thought that one should be let off the hook once a year, and if you've made a vow, then perhaps you can take it back on Yom Kippur. That became so prevalent that the liturgy dropped out. But then the Spanish Inquisition happened, where Jews were expelled and or forced to convert on pain of death a long time ago. And the liturgy became really important and was reintroduced because many people were made to convert under pain of death or threat of death. So actually the liturgy came back. Then during the Enlightenment, it was thought that actually the all vows thing, you know, we're enlightened peoples and we don't necessarily believe that one is forgiven or either punished. But still the instances in which of Jewish history where Jews have been coerced and or forced into hiding and or killed or sent into exile continues to return. So Kol Nidre is then accepted into the liturgy and has been since like the late 19th century. And there's many, many famous recordings of Kol Nidre, and we're going to hear a beautiful rendition of it now. Thank you. Let's play it. Thank you. That was very beautiful.
Saskia Lane on the bass, Shoko Nagai on the keyboard.
Want to say that again? I think there were claps.
Yes. That's Saskia Lane on the double bass.
Woo!
And Shoko Nagai on the keyboard.
Woo! Thank you very much. That was a very beautiful rendition of Kol Nidre. So yeah, that explains kind of where we are in the Jewish calendar. So Yom Kippur is an intense holiday. It's somber. It's also the time where you say prayers for the dead cumulatively and individually and also cumulatively. It's also the time where one kind of makes inventory of one's own self-assessments. And it's also a day of fast. And we just came out of that. That ended on Thursday, and now Succos is coming, and Succos is like I said, a pilgrimage holiday. It's about food, it's about eating, it's about getting together with your friends, it's about inviting guests into the Sukkah. I welcome you all into the Sukkah to eat, to share stories, to be friends, and that's kind of why I wanted to do a Sukkah spectacular. The spectacular feature of it is that I get to have the Isle of Klezbos, this amazing set, and special guests. And I'm going to bring up now a very special guest, my dear friend, Kendall Thomas, who is an extremely important legal scholar, one of the leading lights behind critical race theory, and someone who has an extraordinarily beautiful voice. I've been listening to Kendall sing for years. Kendall has a regular gig at Joe's Pub yearly, which was sadly postponed for the pandemic, but look out for Kendall's show. Kendall also sings at other venues as well. It's my great pleasure to have my dear and very talented friend, Kendall Thomas, giving us a few songs tonight, but just one now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Red and yellow, pink and green, purple, orange and blue. I can sing a rainbow, sing a rainbow, sing a rainbow too. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there is a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and each dream that you dare to dream really does come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. where troubles melt like lemon drops, away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and if birds can fly over the rainbow, why then, oh why Thank you.
I'd like to thank Rick Faulkner, who composed that little piece that we played to welcome and to thank Kendall Thomas. That was beautiful, Kendall. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Kendall. Thank you very much. And don't change that channel, because Kendall is coming back. And we have a lot more stuff to think about. In television, they would say, don't change that channel, come back. Kendall Thomas will be returning, and we'll have more with the Isle of Klezbos. But we have to pay the bills. So here's a little advertisement. Gregg Bordowitz just published a book. Gregg Bordowitz just published a book, and it's for sale right there. Gregg Bordowitz published a book, and it's for sale right there. And we, Gregg Bordowitz and Benyamin Zev, would appreciate it if you buy it. So with the publishers, Triple Canopy. Triple Canopy, this book would not be possible without Triple Canopy. I owe a great debt to Triple Canopy. Triple Canopy is an amazing publishing concern. It's not necessary to buy the book. But you know, it was free to come in here. It's the transcripts of the 3 performances that preceded this one. And this is all new material, because I was like, it's in print. They're going to buy it. You have to come up with new material. Back to the show. We're back. Thank you. That was Kendall Thomas, who will be doing more songs, and Isle of Klezbos is here. Everybody. I'm Benyamin Zev, and here we're back for the Sukkah Spectacular, the second half. And I just realized that someone said to me, God, you've got so Jewish. I said, am I too Jewish? Too Jewish. That's a preoccupation you grow up with, too Jewish. My parents were always worried about that. Greg, don't be too Jewish. By that, they mean don't stand by the buffet, don't eat too much of the buffet, stop saying your sentences with question marks at the end, don't talk too much, don't talk too little, don't be too Jewish. And I'm still trying to figure it out. Am I Jewish enough or too Jewish? Come to find out that that depends on the Jew you talk to. Very judgy people, the Jews. No, not really. We're all judgy people. But not many people care whether you're wearing a yarmulke or not, except those who do. So I wear a yarmulke every day. I've started doing it for the past 3 years because it's a childhood practice that I abandoned long ago. But somewhere 3 years ago, I decided that I would start wearing a kippah or yarmulke, as we say in Queens, and tzitzis. These are tzitzis. Also known as talis katan, the small talis. The small talis, as opposed to the big talis, which is a prayer shawl that you wrap around yourself, which is kind of like what Eve Secular is wearing right now. And if Eve were to open that up and wrap it around shoulders or over the head, that is the practice of the prayer shawl. It's enveloping. You are enveloping yourself in all of creation in a kind of solitude. The talit katan, which is worn every day, some people say you should wear it in, some people say wear it out. Again, there's nothing definite and lots of interpretation. Nothing is as it appears and everything's significant. That's the definition of art, that's the definition of poetry, and it's also the way you approach the Torah. Nothing is as it appears, and everything is significant. Actually, that's the key to the show. The talit katan is about wrapping your body. It's about something that's close to your body. It's a reminder that you are wrapped, that you are contained. I find it very comforting. I like the talit katan. And the yarmulke is about humility. From the soles to your feet to the top of your head, you go no further. Some of us need the reminder. I'm not saying you need the reminder. I'm not proselytizing here. We don't do that, by the way. In fact, if you wanted to convert traditionally, you would have to be refused 3 times. Now, I know a lot of you have walked down New York City streets and been asked, "Are you Jewish?" They ask, the Lubavitch, ask, because if you're not, they're not going to try to convert you, because that's against the rules. But if you do say you're Jewish, they will try to bring you back to some form of observance. And it's always a debate for me. It's like, are you Jewish? Do I say yes? Do I say no? If I say no, I feel embarrassed. If I say yes, I know I'm going to have to stop and talk. No, I don't want to blow the shofar, thank you. Yes, I know how to wrap tefillin, thank you. No, this is it. This kind of like new Hasidic Jew pinko queer thing, that's what I'm doing. I'm taking a stand. This is a kind of neo-Hasidic Jew pinko queer thing. People have had troubles with it. I had people show up I hadn't seen in a number of years. So I was giving a tour in the show. I was giving the tour in the show as Gregg Bordowitz. But Gregg Bordowitz doesn't take off the yarmulke and the tzitzis. They were really shocked. And immediately I just rushed in to soothe their anxiety without even thinking what their anxiety was. I was like, it's Gregg. It's the same Gregg. Just different accessories. And if you know anything about me, my life has been a fearless and moral searching inventory of haircuts and accessories. They were fine with that. Then we walked a little bit, and then one of them said to me, "It doesn't come with land claims, does it?" I know, none of this is predicated on a land claim. This is all predicated on the notion of embracing a diaspora, which is difficult to say. I don't mean that it's not painful, and the refugees are experiencing a tremendous amount of pain in their displacement. And still, there's something very moving, as I said before, about the portability of culture and the way that culture encounters culture and mixes, even though there's a pain of it. There's the pain of dislocation, the pain of displacement. I honestly felt it when Trump wrote the presidential order giving me and every other Jew a distinct and special status, because that is an old song. You're here as a guest, and you're here as long as we let you be. It's ominous. And yet, we have holidays where we celebrate this aspect of our culture. We're mobile. We encounter other cultures. We speak other languages. Klezmer, Eve, help me out here. Klezmer, explain klezmer to the folks.
Well, there's a part of the Ashkenazic world, which is, well, that's a long story, but Eastern European-rooted Yiddish cultural music includes celebrating with klezmer music, and the word klezmer comes from two words, kele and zemer, that means something like the bearer of song, the vessel of music. So traditionally, this would have been for a lot of different kinds of events, and we're lucky to be in the 21st century when we perform it for all kinds of different people, with all kinds of different people, and there we are. That's the short version.
That was a beautiful, concise version. It's exactly what I wanted. I have learned tremendous amount about klezmer and Yiddishkeit from you over the years. I think we've known each other for like 30 years. I think we first met when I went to YIVO to get archival film for my film Fast Trip, Long Drop.
Which generated some unbelievably beautiful klezmer for the soundtrack.
Yes, because the klezmatics, I got the klezmatics to do the soundtrack, and the soundtrack for Fast Trip, Long Drop ended up being a large portion of the album Jews with Horns, which is actually a really funny title if you get the reference. And
their album before that was preceded by their album, their debut, which was the Yiddish is Schweigen ist Tod, which is the Yiddish for silence equals death. And if you get the references for that with Yiddish and for ACT UP, pretty cool.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we were doing then in the 80s was Yiddishkeit was a way to kind of claim a relationship and claim and explore one's relationship to Jewishness on the Lower East Side, which is actually where my family's from after they immigrated.
Mine too.
Yes.
On my father's side. Taten Sod.
And so there was a kind of Yiddishkeit movement, which is still alive. You know, performers like Morgan Bassicus, who's 20 years younger than me, who performed yesterday, is carrying that forward. There's many, many performers. The music is very much alive. And Yiddishkeit was a way to explore Jewish culture and emphasize the wandering, because Yiddish itself, which was initially rejected by the Israeli nation state, it was considered to be a gutter language. Because Yiddish is, I think, like 16th century German with Hebrew letters and every other language that Jews passed through. So it's German and Russian and Polish and English, and there's another, it's a little bit wrong to say another Yiddish, but there's another language called Ladino, which takes Spanish as its primary language, also uses Hebrew letters in its written form, and also contains many different references to many different languages, largely in the global south or in the Middle East. And it's amazing how much both of these languages are being kept alive and vital by many artists. You know, klezmer was snuck in, like if you've watched I know, Looney Tunes cartoons, the clarinet, the laughing clarinet is the klezmer clarinet. Klezmer is very much bound up with this notion of laughter is pain, pain can be laughter, which is a very much a diasporic thematic. Yeah, I'm not bringing the funny tonight, right? Really not bringing the funny tonight. Tomorrow's comedian. Tomorrow's comedian. It might not be funny either, because it's really just about genre. Genre is a vehicle through which one lives one's life. genre is something like a found object that we appropriate in order to find a vehicle and a way and shape for us to live our lives. My favorite genre in movies, I'm going to admit this, I've never admitted this publicly, my favorite genre is the rom-com. You can count on the rom-com. I love the rom-com. But that's what a genre is. A genre can be like a leftovers meal. I actually love watching films I've seen before, a television series I've seen before, precisely because I know how they end. There's no anxiety involved whatsoever. Whatsoever. And it's really like, you know, eating warmed over kugel. That's what I learned. If you pause long enough, it dawns on someone, oh, that was possibly funny. I need a little energy here. Can we get a tons?
All right. You know, we're going to give you a beautiful moderate kind of serba now that'll walk us back up to the sukkah.
Beautiful, thank you. Beautiful. 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 I love this. Can I get a rim shot? Rim shot. Rim shot. Thank you. You don't even need a joke. I just love that I could do that. Okay. All right, I'm looking at the time. Don't worry, you're not going to be here too long. As promised, I am going to invite, again, the very talented Kendall Thomas to come up and sing for us.
And grab my mic. Good evening again. Thank you so much for inviting me to this spectacular Sukkos celebration. It is my first Sukkos. It has something of the air of a loss of a certain virginity. I've done many Passovers, but this is my first Sukkos, and I thought I would bring an offering in the spirit of ecumenical peace, love, happiness, and having fun, to quote Africa Bambaataa, and sing for you what used to be called, when we were Negroes, a Negro spiritual, but which is now called an African American spiritual, and allows me to represent one of the other diasporas, since this is a diasporic evening. I grew up in the Black Protestant church, specifically the Oro Vista Missionary Baptist Church in Oroville, California, where my grandfather was the pastor. So I didn't grow up with Rebs, but I did grow up with Revs, which was a diminutive for reverend. And the one important locus of the Black Protestant religious tradition is the Torah, which I did not know was the Torah. The Torah was not a word that I heard until I was an adult. But the stories in the Old Testament, and Black Protestantism is very much an Old Testament Christianity. The stories in the Old Testament were the source of a kind of pedagogical practice and training in Black liberation theology. So the song that I'm going to sing for you is one of the most beautiful songs in that canon, and it is inspired by the story of Daniel in the lion's den, which I heard before I could read, along with two of the other stories that are mentioned in this song. The song is called "Didn't My Lord Deliver Daniel?" And I have to walk over here because I can't tell what key I'm hitting unless I'm looking at it this way. Isn't that weird? Here we go. Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? Daniel, Daniel. Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? So why not everyone? Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? Daniel, Daniel. Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? So why not everyone? God delivered Daniel from the lion's den, Jonah from the belly of the whale, the Hebrew children from the fiery furnace, so why not everyone? Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? Daniel, Daniel. Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? So why not everyone? The moon ran down in a purple stream. The sun refused to shine. The stars fell down from the sky, and victory was mine. Hallelujah, Daniel, 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 Daniel. Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? Daniel, Daniel. Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? So why not everyone? Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? Daniel, Daniel. Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel? So why not everyone? Woo! Woo! And I'm going to close with a song that some of you may know, and I'd like to dedicate it to the memory of Michael K. Williams, whom we lost tragically a few weeks ago. I was born by a river in a little tent, just like that river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change will come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. I really don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know that my change will come. Oh, yes, it will. I went to my brother. I said, brother, won't you help me, please? My brother said, I'm struggling too. And then he joined me down on my knees. There have been times I thought I wouldn't last for long, but right now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long, 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 long time coming. A long, long time coming. I've been up and I've been down. I've been level almost to the ground. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change will come. It's been a long, 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 long time coming, but I know that my change will come. Oh, yes, it will. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kendall. It's just a joy, and I feel really grateful and privileged to know you and to be able to share these evenings with you. Kendall and I met in ACT UP, well over 30 years ago, with a lesson of trying to deal with the incongruity of mortality and a daily life, which included the possibility of laughter, was extremely urgent and important. I don't believe that laughter is a palliative for pain. In other words, like it's, let's bring the comic on during wartime to make people laugh to forget their troubles. I'm much more interested in how cultural forms of cultural forms in general, and in particular, comedy and music can both embody pain, sorrow, and joy as they're experienced as the full range of human emotions under the best and the worst of circumstances. So my thesis would be that actually pain is laughter and laughter is pain. You don't know why you laugh. Very rarely do you laugh because it's funny. People laugh because they don't know what else to do in the face of a conundrum. People laugh because they're nervous. It's a physiological response. It carries a tremendous amount of content. And as does music, as you've been witness to here tonight. There's this Roberta Flack song. I wanted to play it for you, but I don't feel like I'm going to play a 5-minute song, but so you can look it up. There's a Roberta Flack song off her second album. I love Roberta Flack. My mother loved Roberta Flack. We listened to it a lot in my childhood household. And on her second album, there's this tune called Go Up Moses, which, if you know the history of songs within the Black church, and also that line actually comes from the Torah, that the embrace of the Exodus story by both conquered and conquerors. Everyone loves to think they're the Israelites. The Anglo-Saxons thought they were the Israelites when they conquered the Emerald Isles. Large portions of the Crusades thought that they were the Israelites. I live in Crown Heights, but not in the Jewish section, in the African-American, Afro-Caribbean neighborhood where there are many Rastafari. And the Rastafari believe that they are the Israelites, or they are Israelites, hoping to return to Africa, Ethiopia specifically for some, Africa more generally. Many Rastafari are Garveyites. Marcus Garvey, who did actually have a plan to create the possibility for African Americans to return to Africa as the site of return to home after the Middle Passage, after forced enslavement within this country. I'm fascinated with this. I love walking down the street with my kippah and my tzitzis, and like one block I'm walking and there's this Rastafari who's like, Irie, and I'm like, I don't say Irie back, I just say respect or something like that, because I don't feel like I can say Irie, but there's respect there. There's actually some Rastafari in my neighborhood who wear tzitzis. One of the best events I attended in my neighborhood, I just totally happened on it in Brewer Park, which is right behind the Children's Museum in Crown Heights, which is on the dividing line, which is a fraught dividing line, Eastern Parkway, between the black and brown neighborhood, and the almost solidly Orthodox Jewish neighborhood. And if you remember, in the 90s, there was tremendous amounts of tension, riots, and strife. But actually, there's been a tremendous amount of activism done, such that if you go to Breuer Park, as I did one summer afternoon, there was a reggae concert, and half the audience was apparently black and brown, many Afro-Caribbean immigrants or children of immigrants. The other half was Orthodox Jews. There were 2 trucks, one with Jamaican patties and one with kosher food. And everyone was just listening to reggae music. That's like the New York, that's why I stay in New York. That's why I live in New York. I live in New York for these moments. So the notion of diaspora and exodus is very interesting, and I'm actually in this Exodus reading group where we're thinking about where and when has Exodus been used both as a liberation narrative and as also license for conquest, either in the example I just brought up or in Israel-Palestine as a land claim and an occupation. And yet, Exodus is a tremendously compelling story, but Roberta Flack picks up on a kind of legendary song, Go Down, Moses, and reverses it and comes up with this amazing funk song called Go Up, Moses. And one of the lines is, let Pharaoh go, which is really amazing because, you don't know, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, in the Torah, the whole refrain throughout Exodus, the liberation story of the Hebrews liberating themselves from enslavement in Egypt, is a refrain, let my people go. This is what Moses goes to Pharaoh to ask for constantly, let my people go. So Roberta Flack, 1972, a very strong movement of black liberation, says this amazing song where she's like, go up, Moses, you've been down too long. And then she says, let Pharaoh go, which is just this kind of brilliant formulation, hopeful formulation, like you can just let the oppressor go and be on some completely different ground. It's a brilliant song. It's on YouTube. Roberta Flack's second album. I don't have to play it for you. Rather, since we're running out of time, I want to recall something that I learned from one of my intellectual heroes, Rabbi Joshua Abram Heschel. Heschel was a great theologian of the 20th century who narrowly escaped Europe because there were a number of concerns, Jewish concerns in the United States, who was trying to rescue Jewish teachers and rabbis and place them in United States universities. Heschel was escaped from Poland narrowly escaped from Poland by one of these agencies that first had him teach as a rabbi in Ohio, and then he moved to New York. Heschel was probably one of the most important 20th century theologians for many reasons, because he answered the question, how can you believe in God after Auschwitz? Yeah, how can you believe in God after Auschwitz? This is a big theme, and my grandfather, in his dementia, asked that question a lot. When I would visit my grandfather in his adult living situation, he had lost much of his memory, but he would still ask that question just like that, like, how can you believe in God after Auschwitz? Because he was there, not here at a certain point. At a certain point, he didn't even recognize us. My sister went to visit him with my cousin, and he was having my grandfather was a very jovial, very kind, very gentle man. And he had a half an hour conversation with my sister and my cousin, and at a certain point, he turned to my sister and cousin and said, "You're really lovely girls. I have to admit, I don't know who you are, but I'm really enjoying this conversation." And also, he went deaf, so even though he had abandoned a lot of Jewish practices, though raised Orthodox, it's part of a general trajectory that is familiar around Jewish assimilation. Which is, I'm not judgmental when I say assimilation. I think assimilation is both interesting and necessary, and it's maybe not avoidable, and there's some aspects of assimilation that are really interesting because they give birth to novel forms. Assimilation gives birth to novel forms. Last night, a musician friend of mine was telling me he was really into death metal klezmer in the 90s. Who knew about death metal klezmer in the 90s? Eve, did you know about death metal klezmer in the 90s?
It escaped my notice.
Yeah. But still, that's such a conjunction that can happen.
But there was a big klezmer reggae scene that continues to this day.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that I always got, Who are the Israelites? That's one of my favorite questions to ask. Who are the Israelites? When you read the Torah, you're supposed to read it as being every character. So when you read the Exodus story, you're not only supposed to identify with the Israelites. Actually, one of the more urgent questions is, when am I Pharaoh? When am I the oppressor? When am I an Israelite? When am I an enslaver? It's kind of like dream analysis. It's one of the gateways into the Torah is to understand that you're everyone in the Torah, not just the most sympathetic characters. Let's end on an upbeat. Let's end on an upbeat.
You got it. Now, are we closing the show or are we ending with another song?
No, we're going to end with this song is the song that we're going to end on. I'm going to stick around because I want to hear it, but then I'll exit and you can keep playing.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. This is the Golden Achasana once again, the Golden Wedding.